It's totally legal to have rodent hair in your burgers or tacos. What? You can't handle the truth.
No.
It's true. The FDA says that it's okay to have at least 4 hairs of rodent hairs per 100 grams of processed food. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Marie. So today I'm going to be talking about 10 things you may not know about meat, and you actually may not want to know about meat. The first thing is animal food production is one of the world's leading causes for climate change. It surpasses both the transportation industry and the electricity generation as the greatest source of greenhouse gases. If we could just cut back on at least half of the animal consumption that we do, it would be as if we were garaging all of the motor vehicles and vessels within the US. If we could only stick with that for that time, it would decrease the gases and emissions in our atmosphere. Deforestation is responsible for at least 9% of carbon dioxide emissions globally. Beef in particular requires 28 times more land, 6 times more fertilizer, and 11 times more water for producing than chicken or pork. That being said, the animal agriculture sector is responsible for 37% of human-caused methane emissions, 65% nitrous oxide emissions, which is mainly due to manure, all which affect climate change and global warming. The second on my list of things you may not know about meat is lots of our tax-paying dollars go towards the meat production industry. Taxpayers dish out $38 billion to subsidize the meat industry, mainly providing corn and soy to feed the animals. $5 you can purchase a Big Mac. Costs $13 at retail price if we included the hidden expenses that the meat producers let fall on society. Did you know that some companies package their beef in carbon monoxide packaging in order to keep the meat looking pink and fresh up to 1 full year? Regardless of how it looks, the meat still does spoil normally. Imagine what that does to our body. Pink slime. I know that sounds disgusting, right? Processed lean beef. Pretty much it's made up of all of the excess trash basically that falls off of the beef, and also the fat trimmings. They grind it up together and it's called lean. It's called lean beef, and it's cheap and it's used as a filler in beef. So mostly this pink slime is used in chicken nuggets from McDonald's. Hey, anybody like that? Or from the store? And also ground beef. I'm assuming maybe corned beef as well, and any other lean type of meat that you may purchase. The FDA states that chicken nuggets and ground beef only have to be 35% meat, and 65% can be chemicals, silicone dioxide, and this pink slime. Disgusting, right? That was number 4, so let me get to number 5. Various studies show that there is a correlation between meat consumption and the increase of incidence of cancer. Of those meats which are top on the list that are cancer causing and carcinogenous are ham, salami, sausages, and hot dogs. Those that I just mentioned are basically grouped as one of the group 1 carcinogen-based meats. Hormones ingested in meat increase your chances of breast cancer and prostate cancer. According to a report by the FDA, approximately 70% of animals are fed antibiotics, not because they have infections, but because of the inhumane conditions that they're living in. Can you imagine that? Now, us eating that as human beings, that means that even if any new strain of bacteria comes into our body's now probably going to be resistant to the bacteria that we have in it. Why? Because there's something called anti-resistant bacteria. And if we overexpose ourselves with antibiotics, that means that this bacteria can develop a resistance to the antibiotics that we are taking. Now, that leaves us pretty much defenseless as a system. Number 7, 43% of salmon sold in the US is mislabeled, meaning it's not even salmon, it's some other fish that they dye pink. And for the salmon that they do grow in fish farms, I think that's what they call them, they're not pink. Only free range salmon that you find out in nature while you're fishing is pink. The ones that are actually sold from the farms are gray. So guess what they do? They use a chemical to dye the salmon so it looks pink. Now, a lot of people who don't really like to eat red meats, etc., might choose salmon as a source of maybe a healthier option of meat, but this pink dye that they dye and put into salmon actually can cause blindness and loss of sight over time in a human being. So much for the healthier option. Number 8, there's poop in your beef. Yeah, I said it. There's poop in your beef. You might be wondering, how is it that there could be poo in your beef? But it's actually quite common. So a study was done where they tested 300 packaged beefs, and in all 300 they were contaminated with fecal matter. Can you imagine that? We're eating meat with poop. Now, how does this happen? Well, pretty much in the slaughterhouses, some of the beef, the cows, etc., still have feces in their intestines. And number 2, it's kind of hard in all of that mess in that slaughterhouse to get the feces off of the hide, which ends up on the carcass, which ends up on the beef, and which ends up in the grocery store, on the plate, in our mouth, and in our body. Now, this is horrible, because you know what happens, right? When you have raw beef, when you don't handle it properly, when you don't wash it properly, yeah, you can get poisoned. E. coli poison, blood poison. Now, if that's not a reason to stop eating red meat, I don't know what is. 100% of the packages that were tested resulted in a positive result for contamination of feces and fecal matter. Yikes. Not only does your meat contain antibiotics, toxins, pesticides, and feces, but it contains heavy metal. And no, I'm not talking about the music, heavy metal music, get it? It contains high levels of copper. And although to a certain degree copper is good for us, over consuming that amount can actually cause to having kidney failure, kidney problems, and liver disease. Number 10, eating meat hardens the blood vessels. A compound called carnitine, which also can be found in some energy drinks, has been found to cause arteriosclerosis. Arteriosclerosis is the hardening and clogging of arteries. Over time, carnitine converts to a heart-damaging compound called trimethylamine N-oxide. So these are 10 things you didn't know or you may not have known about meat. And throughout my journey of doing research to live a healthier lifestyle and remove myself of meat products, these are some very interesting finds that I came up with. So I hope you liked, and please subscribe, comment, like, and share. I really do like your comments and I like engaging with you guys. So That's it. Until the next video.